So thank you for joining us. So most of you are at the end of your academic law degree, and the end goal is on the right, so admission as a lawyer. So but pictured here are some of our alumni on their admission day, and we're in the middle, so that's where we're supposed to be. We're actually the bridge between your academic law degree and your admission as a lawyer. So you already know the law, and we're here to teach you how to apply it and how to work as a lawyer. So we have a lot of options for our course. I know that a lot of you have seen some of your start dates, and some of you are finishing up in November 2022. So potentially we could have you here at the end of the year, but it's all up to you which course works for you. So you can really choose your own adventure. So where you want to, if you want to do 100% online, you can. If you do want the face-to-face experience with the Skills Week, so more of a blended option, we do have that as well. And I will talk a little bit about it in a little bit, but we're actually coming to Wollongong. So if that is something that you're interested in, we will be delivering that in Wollongong in January. There's also options for day or evening. So whether you want to, the Skills Week is usually 5 days, which I'll ask Ash to talk about in a second, but 5 days for the first week of the course. But if you prefer evening, there's an evening option where you'll do that Skills Week on various nights of the week. There's also full-time, which is 15 weeks, or part-time, which is 30 weeks. So if you're working full-time, maybe look at the part-time option, and you'll need to set aside about 17 hours for study. And if you're doing full-time, you can set aside about 35 hours per study. We also have 50 plus New South Wales intakes a year, so you'll never have to wait more than 1 to 4 weeks between intakes, and you'll never hear that the course is full. It will be, there's a place for you at the college whenever you're ready. So here's some more of the dates. So whenever you're ready to start, these are all the options for you. As you can see, we have a bunch of different regional courses too. So Armidale, Parramatta, we do have our Sydney CBD office. I'm not sure if any of y'all are in Sydney, but if you would like to come to the office, we'd love to have you over for coffee too. Oops. Sorry, and here's the Wollongong one. So we have the blended Wollongong course starting the 16th of January. So that would be good for all of you. We also do have Central Coast, Coffs Harbour, Kensington, which isn't quite regional, but Parramatta as well. So there's many options for you. And as you can see, not much time between courses. So there's 3 course pillars that we'll talk about. The first, this is for the PLT. The first is the coursework. And I'll ask Ash to talk about that in a second, but there are compulsory subjects and electives, which we can chat about. There's also work experience, so that gives the real life context to your practical legal skills that we're teaching you, and then continuing professional education. So the first bit is the actual coursework. And Ash, if I can hand over to you to just chat about the Skills Week and what the tasks look like and the assessments.
Thank you, Kelly. So at the beginning of the PLT program, everyone has what we call a skills week, which is the first week of the course. And this is a great opportunity for students to meet other students and to get to know their lecturer. And it's kind of like an introductory week, and we call it, as I just said, Professional Skills Week. During that week, Kelly mentioned you can do this fully online or you can do it blended. So the fully online would mean you would do the Skills Week online, and you would continue with the coursework online. That would be the full online option, as Kelly mentioned. The blended one, the Skills Week, you would do it face-to-face, where you would come into college face-to-face, and then after that you would go to the balance of the course would be online. I kind of recommend the blended version because, you know, you get to meet everybody in that first week face to face. The dynamic is a little bit different, but you kind of make more meaningful relationships, in obviously face to face. Having said that, the online one is almost as, you know, valuable in the sense that obviously you've got the online factor to deal with, but we've managed to deliver that quite successfully. In terms of what happens during that first week, we focus on professional skills such as interviewing, how to resolve ethical dilemmas in practice, and as Kelly indicated, we are really about applying your knowledge in practice. Okay, so this is really the thrust of the course, which is going to be really refreshing for you as students. who have been focused on theory for the past 3 to 5 years. Interviewing skills, applying ethical decision-making model to resolve ethical dilemmas, writing and drafting in a practical context, some problem solving, and the big ticket item, well, there's two. There's negotiation workshop, which is really beneficial to get you in that mindset of negotiating and trying to resolve disputes. Obviously, litigation is the last resort. And then the other big ticket item of that first week is the advocacy workshop, which focuses on advocacy skills. We look at advocacy 101, appearing in a mention or a call over. What sort of skills are important? We then look at, the context of a criminal trial. We look at examination in chief and cross-examination. So just introducing you to some of those practical questioning technique skills. And lastly, we look at, we call it an interlocutory application. I don't want to speak to heavy lingo for today, but basically we introduce you to an elementary court application in civil jurisdiction, how to set aside a default judgment. Okay, so you don't need to worry about the terminology for the present purposes, because we'll explain that to you at the on-site. So we call it, that first week, the skills week, we call it the on-site. Whether it's face-to-face or online, it's called an on-site, and that's where we get to meet each other and start to build your connections. The people in your allocated group will be potentially career-long friends. I made my best friends at College of Law. I did College of Law in the days when it used to be 6 months full-time in the 1990s. So let's not go there. But, my College of Law friends from those days remain close friends today, 28 years later. So yeah, and you make great connections, and I think you'll find that first week to be really enjoyable. So is that all you wanted me to talk about for the moment? Just that.
Yeah. And also what's really what I found really cool about that is the practice papers. So I saw the advocacy checklist and the courtroom etiquette, and I like that because it tells you just the basic things that people might be afraid to ask, which is like, where do I go? How do I present? How do I tell them I'm here? When do I talk? Do I bow? Things like that. So very, very basic, but you'll have a lot of content. So do you want to talk about the practice papers and where that all? Yeah.
Well, as you said, Kelly, like all of this assumed knowledge that when you walk into a courtroom, the court just assumes you know everything, and that's the scary part. The fear of the unknown for us as newly admitted practitioners is really what is daunting. And so College of Law, what I love about PLT is that it is the last opportunity to be in a safe environment, yet have exposure to practice. So in other words, exposure to practice in a safe environment, because if you make a mistake, it's all good. Those scenarios where you see people standing and closing their eyes and falling backwards and learning to trust their colleagues. Well, you can trust us as lecturers, because you can close your eyes and stand and fall back and we'll catch you and show you how to do it the correct way. The practice papers are amazing because they're written by extremely experienced practitioners, and they try and do what no other institution has really done as far as I've seen, and that is describe what you are supposed to do. As you said, the script of what you're supposed to say, how you're supposed to act, court etiquette. It prescribes all of that alongside your actual practical training. So you have your practical training on the one hand, and then you got these amazing resources in the form of practice papers, which pretty much give you a script for everything. And it's a ready reckoner for every area, like, whether it be litigation, whether it be conveyancing, any of these practical areas. It tells you how to do the elementary things. And it's a great bridge into the mainstream real world practice, because you just have these notes that you'll keep looking back at. Like when I was admitted, I kept looking back at my College of Law notes for a good 1 or 2 years, and even beyond in some cases for certain things. So they're there to get you through not only College of Law, but 1 or 2 years of practice in terms of reference material. So, and you get the practice papers as part of the program, part of the package. So even better.
Yeah. And we have a lot of students who are at the end of their studies and are probably very have test fatigue and assignment fatigue. Can you tell them a little bit about what the assessments look like? So really their conversations, but what they can expect in that.
Yes. So what we have is we have, and don't be daunted by it, but we have oral assessments, which are face-to-face, just like this now, face-to-face assessments, kind of like Vivas, and we do that through WebEx. We're now moving to Microsoft Teams to conduct that. So basically, for each subject, so we have the core subjects, you have ethics and professional responsibility, property, civil litigation, corporate commercial practice, and then you have 2 electives. Each of those are assessed through the oral assessment regime, and you will be allocated an assessor, and they'll basically talk you through each of those, well, the particular oral assessment. So say, for example, it's property practice, you'll have an assessor who will quiz you about the content of that particular subject, and it's done online like this. It's open book. We encourage you to slow it down to your pace and refer to your notes and then give your answer. They last about 45 minutes, goes really fast. And on the whole, I think people have a positive experience from the oral assessment regime. There is a number of activities in each subject that you need to be competent in. So we give you a competent tick for each of those. And once you've got all those ticks, you're eligible to sit the oral assessment. As I said, it's 100%. Sounds daunting. The first one is a little bit of a challenge, but everyone has a good experience and everyone gets through. So nothing to be too intimidated by.
The feedback seems to be that they're really, really nervous for the first one, and then it just goes by, 45 minutes just goes by, and then the rest are just kind of fun.
Yeah, that's right. Because, they're not your traditional type of examination. They're very conversational. And, and I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but examples of feedback that I've got from an oral assessment from students which I've conducted are that this has been the best form of assessment they've ever had. They actually enjoyed it. And, we can have a bit of a laugh too, because, it's, I should say this also, Kelly, for the benefit of the students, that we don't treat you like students in the conventional sense. We now treat you, because when you come to College of Law, we treat you as entry-level lawyers. The reason why we treat you as entry-level lawyers is because you are assessed on the basis of an entry-level lawyer. And you should probably get used to not being a student anymore and being addressed as colleagues. So we're really happy to treat you as equals and treat you as colleagues. So that, the good and the bad comes with that, in the sense that, you have to act professionally as well. When you're being treated as a colleague, it is expected, not only from us, but just generally from all participants in the legal education system, it's expected that you will also act professionally. So it's actually a good feeling, because you're no longer just a student. You are now real world, treated as entry-level lawyers. You're assessed as entry-level lawyers. And of course, that's the low end of the bar of the knowledge that you'd expect of a lawyer, because it's, entry level. So, and the materials are there to provide you ample support. In fact, the preparation for the oral assessment, everything that you need to know, all the resources that you need to refer to are inbuilt into Canvas.
And can you chat about the electives real quick too? I'm not going to quiz you. I have the list. If you don't want to say it, memorize, recite them all.
Oh yeah, I've recited them.
I know you know it, but and then if you could tell them a little about the electives, and then how you recommend they choose their electives.
Yes, electives are criminal law, banking and finance, administrative law, planning environment, employment law, consumer law, wills and probate, and have I missed one? I think I missed one. Maybe
Family law, the one
family law,
the one
yes.
that you should know.
One I should know, family law. Okay, so
you did very good.
So these are the electives. So it's a wide range of electives. And where do you start? Like, what do you choose? So there's three categories of student that I've noticed. One category of student is the student who is already working as a paralegal, and all they may be doing is conveyancing, for example, in the legal practice, or they might be working in a large firm, and they might be doing commercial law only. So the first category of student is the one that wants to build upon the area in which they're already practicing. So the student that's working in commercial law may choose banking and finance as one of the electives because they're already working in that area and they want to extend their knowledge in that area. Or a student who's working in family law as a paralegal chooses the family law elective. So you've got that student who is working in the area and wants to formalize and extend their knowledge in that particular area further. The second category of student is the one like me when I was at College of Law, and that was me wanting to try new areas which I hadn't experienced to broaden my horizons and increase the volume of my net when I go fishing, so that I could be confident in a greater number of areas of law than a less number. So I was already working in, for example, commercial law, admin and whatnot. So I chose electives which I had never had any exposure with. So, that would have been maybe wills and estates and maybe it was family law. So I chose these areas which I thought might be useful for me in the future and broaden my horizons. And then you have the third category of student who really isn't maybe necessarily working in law, isn't necessarily experienced in any particular area, but they have a personal interest in an area. So some people have a personal interest in family law, so they'll choose family law, and they might also have an interest in employment law. And these are nice electives, sort of elementary electives to choose, because if you go into mainstream practice, you're likely to come into someone who's got a family law problem or employment law or wills and these are sort of mainstream bread and butter legal areas of practice. So they're good ones to choose. So so that third category is someone who has a particular interest in an area. They'll choose their electives according to that.
Oh,
and if you don't fall in any of those categories, toss a coin, an eight-sided coin, and choose your electives.
So now work experience. So Ash is actually involved in a couple of these options. I would say the majority of our students need to do 75 days, and that is, there's no additional program. You can do 60 days up to 2 years prior to when you start your PLT, and then the remaining 15 after you started your PLT. So that's, you source it on your own, you do it on your own, there's no additional program. And then Ash, if you could chat just a little bit about the clinical experience module with the 15 days and then the in-practice component for the 0 days.
Yes, one of the great things about these programs, sometimes it can be hard to get your work experience under your belt. So we first introduced the clinical experience module, the CEM we call it, and I'm the manager of that particular course. So after you have finished your PLT, if you're full-time, after you have finished your PLT course, or if you're part-time, when you're in the last week of that course, you're eligible to enroll in this 6-week program, provided you have 15 days work experience. So the first of these programs is where you've only been able to get 15 days work experience, and you haven't been able to get the rest of the 75 days. So we have this program that delivers the balance of the number of days that you need. Okay, so what do we do in that program? Basically, we have 6 or 7 activities, including a sort of like a real negotiation style activity where you negotiate a particular file, where you play opposite roles. You negotiate with each other to come to a certain outcome, and then you record the outcome in terms of settlement. So like this, we have some practical exercises, and they're meant to replace work experience, so that so you can imagine they need to be fairly practical to replace actual work experience. So as I said, you have to have had in this particular program 15 days already under your belt of recognized work experience. And then the balance by enrolling in this program will take care of the balance of the number of days that you need to get to 75 days. One of the things, as I mentioned, it's not easy to get work experience for a number of reasons. One is because there are a lot of law students and everyone's trying to get experience, and there's not as many opportunities available. So that's one reason. But then there's also the students who had maybe a bad experience with some of these law firms where I've seen they've treated students badly, or they don't give students practical experience. They make them do menial tasks like filing and vacuuming the office and getting the principal's laundry and stuff like that. That's some students have had a bad experience. So in this program, you're safe because you're not going to have a bad experience. You're going to be supervised by me, for example, in this program, and we will make sure that you have a practical, valuable experience, which will obviously count towards the 75 days and complete your requirements. So that's the 15 days. Then we have this new program, which started because of the pandemic. So you recall 1 or 2 years ago when the pandemic started, many people lost their jobs and lots of law firms, shut up shop and went into hibernation, and students lost jobs where they were working in law firms. They couldn't get jobs. So basically it was impossible to get work experience to satisfy the 75 days. So the College of Law recognized this, and they, in consultation with the LPAB, came up with this program where you didn't need any work experience. Now, that is amazing. That was an amazing achievement and took one hell of a load of pressure off students, because now, whether it be because they couldn't get a job or because they had lost their job because of the pandemic, there was this way out. And this is called the in-practice component. So it's very similar to the CEM, which I just talked about. But in this one, you don't need any work experience. So that is that is amazing for some people, that it takes off that whole pressure. And you can enroll in this program if you're full-time after you've completed your full-time program. If you're part-time, you can enroll in the last week of your part-time program. And you don't need any work experience. And we again do some of the activities that I talked about in the CEM. For example, we do a sort of a negotiation exercise again with another student, where you're paired up and you have to negotiate a settlement with another student. So that's one part of it. But the additional part of it, which got us over the line with the LPAB, was that we pair you with a legal practitioner. Okay, so we call them legal practice mentors. So in other words, we pair you with a mentor who is a legal practitioner. And there are 3 or 4 activities which you have to complete in consultation with your legal practice mentor. Now, these mentors are real life practitioners who have agreed to participate in the IPC program and impart their knowledge and experience to assist you in completing certain of these activities. Now, that in itself is a really valuable opportunity and experience, because many of you have never had any contact in the legal profession. You don't know anyone in the legal profession, and suddenly you've been now paired with a mentor, and you never know. They may know someone who's looking for a job, or they may know someone, but they may be looking for someone. In this game, it's not always about what you know, it's about who you know. And for those students who have got no connections in legal practice, this is amazing, because you now will be probably introduced to a principal of a law firm who has, decision-making power to employ, et cetera. And not only are you getting your work experience, you are now opening up doors through the connections that you might make through this program. So we have seen that a lot of students have maintained the relationship of mentor and junior practitioner after the program is completed. So this mentor that you've been assigned, that's lifelong, that's career long. There's no end date to that. You make of that whatever you wish. And so that is the in-practice component. No work experience necessary. It's fairly practical. Obviously, it's not the same as necessarily working in a law firm, but when you can't find that job in the law firm, you have this. So the feedback, you can probably check down the track with other students, but students have really loved this program so far.
Great. And these are the options. So if you do, this is the cost. You can see there's an additional cost for the 6-week CEM and for the 0-day option. If you do want to find your own work experience, we have tons of resources for you. We have a jobs board that is always open it has tons of PLT placement listings on there. We also have 2 full-time career advisors. So you can choose College of Law current students, and within 1 year of graduating, you have one-on-one career coaching. You can get as many times as you need. So they'll do CV reviews, mock interviews, anything to help you get a job, and just kind of find the career that you really want to do as well. And we also have a relationship with Everyday Justice. So this is a pro bono law firm, and it's managed by Mentor Ellison, and we have an agreement where PLT students can apply. So they get their pro bono volunteers through PLT placements. So that's another great option that we have a relationship with. And so it's Everyday Justice if you want to look that up. But we have a long-standing job on the jobs board. So if you go to jobs.calllaw.edu.au, and I can put that in the chat in a little bit as well, you'll see there's just a long-standing link there about Everyday Justice too. Continuing professional education is the last part. So CPE, CPD, CLE, it'll be called many things, lots of acronyms, but practicing lawyers need to do 10 hours every year. So this is to get you ready for that. So at the end of the course, this is the final course pillar, but you can do this, throughout, it's just on your own time, as just kind of at your own pace, or you can do a Netflix binge all in one go. So it's 10 hours of online interactive modules, and these are focused on the legal tech and business skills series. And once you're in practice, out of your 10 hours, you'll need to have 4 different areas that are covered. So there will be substantive law, ethics and professional responsibility, legal business management, or practice management and business skills. And then the last one is, I think I said professional skills or professional skills. So you'll need to make sure you have at least 1 unit from each of those while you're practicing. So these are just the certificate of legal tech and business is what you'll get at the end of our version of your CPD. And these are just another skills to add to your CV. So as Ash was saying earlier, you will learn with a lawyer by your side. This is something really special about the college. You're no longer learning from academics, not that there's anything wrong with academics, but these are all practicing lawyers. So they're boots on the ground and they can give you the realities of what you need to do. So they also give you their feedback too, just based on their current practice. So all of our lecturers have current practicing certificates too. And these are some of them pictured below. You might recognize the guy on the left. The second from the left is Ash. You also have a support team while you're studying and prior as well. So on the left is Emma. She's our customer engagement advisor, and she is also a law student just like you at Charles Sturt. So you can reach out to her anytime. You can schedule a one-on-one chat and talk about your circumstances, which course is best for you, and she can really chat with you about what your options are and what you can do. When you're studying with us, we have Glenn. He's headed the student services team. A huge team. Anything you need throughout the course, just reach out to them. They're very responsive, very helpful. You can also always reach out to your lecturer. So if you're lucky in New South Wales, you might get Ash, and just always reach out to them too. They can give you advice, further feedback. If you need an extension sometimes, more time to submit something, or just clarifying something on the assignments, just chat to your lecturer. And as I said before, we have Ruth as our career advisor in New South Wales, and you can schedule, once you're a student, you can schedule as many one-on-one careers chats as you need, and within up to 1 year after as well. So if you need, just advice, coaching sessions, CV reviews, they also do mock interviews. She's a lot of great resources there. We also have a ton of careers resources, whether it's a CV checklist, a cover letter checklist. So we'll be able to send those to you as well. So to wrap it up, so which PLT is for me? I think it's us. So regular intakes, you'll not have to wait. It's every 1 to 4 weeks, there's a new intake. So you'll never be told that it's too full. We recommend that you get everything to us a couple weeks ahead of time, just to make sure, just to give you peace of mind, but we will do everything we can to get you into the course that you want. And we will never cap it. So it's never going to be too full. There's a place for you here all the time. You can also just study, choose your own adventure, as I said, kind of cheesy line, but just study whatever way works for you. So some of you have full-time jobs, some of you have, other careers or families. So whatever works for you and suits your life, that's what you can choose. So you can also kind of set your own pace. So whether you want to do it full-time, part-time, and there are milestones throughout the program, but you could also work ahead as you need to a little bit. So that's something else that's good, is it's just so flexible. If you also, I think what's also really great about our program is that the majority of you will be doing it. So you'll be doing it with colleagues and friends, and it's kind of fun to go through it together with a group. We have 75,000 plus graduates since 1974, and Ash is here since 1992. And so just ask your friends and colleagues about their experience with us, and I think you'll hear some good things. It's also, we are national, so we're located across the country, but definitely we are local. So every different course has local workshops, local content, local practitioners. So it's tailored to whichever state you are wanting to be admitted in. I'll leave this on for a second. And if you want to scan this, you can get your guide to the PLT program. And I will stop sharing in a second. And but if you want to start putting your questions in, and then Ash and I can answer them. And let me just finish. Oh. And I'll leave this on for a second. And also, please do connect with me on LinkedIn. So, and my email address is there, and Emma's is also there. So enrollments at calllaw.edu.au. So any questions you have, you can send to them. And they also have a Calendly where you can book a one-on-one appointment. But let me stop sharing real quick. And does anyone have any questions? I can't see anything in the chat.
Is it okay if I just talk over the?
Yes. Hi, Kara. Yes, please do.
Just a question. So I've already enrolled, but I'm just wondering, like, after hearing everything about the blended course, I'm sort of wanting to do blended. So am I able to change that now, even after paying and registering?
Yeah, definitely. Just email student services.
Okay, cool.
Oh, that's so good. So do you want to do the Wollongong or the Sydney? What do you think?
Yeah, the Wollongong one, just because I'm getting a place with my partner. So it's probably ideal that it's more local, less traveling. So yeah, very excited.
Oh, that's so good. And get all your friends to do the same one with you. So
yeah,
everyone
I have one friend that we were starting in the 30th, January the 30th intake, but I'll try and convince her to do it with me here.
Oh, this is great. Yeah, definitely. Just email it's support at Call Law. I'll put it right here in the email. So
I think I probably emailed them before with a million questions, but if you can put it in the chat, that'd be great.
Oh, keep it coming. They're very happy to help, and it's a really great team.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, and thank you for talking. Nice to meet you, Kara.
Nice to meet you too.
Anyone else, if you want to just unmute yourself and ask, or if you want to put it in the chat.
Yeah, I had a question. So is the Wollongong available course a new thing, and will it continue over into 2023?
Possibly. So it is, the next one is January 2023. We had them regional, but with COVID, we had to have everything online. So we had the groups kind of together, but they had to kind of be together online, if that makes sense, just because we weren't able to do the face-to-face courses. Ash, is that correct, that was the first time? Oh, you're muted.
So what was the question, sorry?
The Wollongong course. Have you traveled for that one?
Yes, we have had the Wollongong before.
Oh, okay.
And one of the lecturers, I think Marco was the one who would travel to Wollongong for the Wollongong on-site. So, and that's going to be continuing. So now I think the January 2023 one is going to be the first face-to-face one again.
Yes.
So we will be resuming that.
And likely with Marco as well, who is a Wollongong native. He went to University of Wollongong as well, so
Yeah,
that's
that's
kind of
true.
cool. He lives in Sydney now, but he's from Wollongong, so he knows the area and knows the profession really well down there.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I got my dates mixed around. I meant 2024,
Oh,
but
yeah,
obviously it'll still be going. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
and generally, so if y'all don't want to start, in 2023, the dates are usually around the same time. So if you're wondering about 2024 dates, just look at when they are for this year, and then it'll look very similar just for the next year as well.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
I have another one. Oh, sorry. I just have another one. So in terms of the PLT course, when it's completed, are you able to apply for admission straight away, or do you have to wait a period of time?
Ash, if you could answer that
Yes,
one.
so basically you'll find that the intakes are aligned with admission dates. The intake of the PLT courses, so say for example, the one that you're going to be starting, that most of the courses are complete just before the due date for submission of your admission documents. So they're kind of aligned so that when you finish the PLT course, you can pretty much submit your documents straight away, because student services are really fast at processing the certificate of completion, and you basically lodge your certificate of completion with your other documents to the LPAB pretty much the week after you complete the course, and that will be aligned to the next up and coming admission date. So we managed to get that even tighter over the last, except for the pandemic, but prior to the pandemic, we got it really tight. So you just finish the course and you go straight into it, lodging your admission documents, and your next thing you know, you're at the admission ceremony, seeking leave to be admitted.
Can you actually talk about that too? So tell them kind of just what a mover is, where they go. Is it in Wollongong? They don't have to come to Sydney for it. Do you know?
Well, what happened because of the pandemic, they had the admission ceremonies online, which took out the X factor of admission, because I'm sure everyone here is looking forward to that day where they go to the Supreme Court of New South Wales in Queen Square, and a lawyer moves or seeks the court's permission to admit you. That is a milestone which you've all been working for, and to have it online took away a little bit of the X factor of that. Now, currently they have both systems. I think they have the online system, so you can opt for that, and they have the face-to-face admission ceremony as well. That happens in the Supreme Court of New South Wales in Queen Square. That's where the glamour is, and that's where you'll come with your family with cameras equipped, and you'll have your photographs taken with your little certificate of admission. That is what it's all about. So that's what is involved. And so you might be thinking, okay, who's going to move my admission? Well, if you can't find anyone to move your admission, the College of Law has a list of lecturers who will admit you. So they'll appear on your behalf to admit you into the Supreme Court of New South Wales. So you're not going to be stranded. We're there we'll provide support all the way to the end. And
I think they've even, back before COVID, we always just had a lecturer there. So if there was someone panicking last minute, don't worry, we'll move you if you're not a student.
That's right. There's always a lecturer there. I think even now the Supreme Court of New South Wales also has permitted registrars to move admissions as well. So you need not worry about that. But keep, get in touch. If you are someone who needs that assistance, get in touch with student services, and they'll assign you with or give you information about who can assist you for that process.
And it is also a very special thing. So it's a big honor to be asked, I think, to move someone's admission.
That's right.
We've had some people choose their lecturer because they were very influential, mentors, a family member, which is really cool. We just had in Queensland a daughter move her father's admission, which is so cool, very cool. So Morton, who's the head of the New South Wales program, he's about to move his kid's admission, which is even both at the same time, which is pretty cool. So who moved yours, Ash?
I did actually avail myself of someone from College of Law.
Oh yeah, really?
Yes, I didn't. I left it a little bit late. I didn't really have any. I was one of those people who didn't have any contacts in law at all. I didn't know anyone, and I had no contacts, and that was through the College of Law that I got admitted through one of their lecturers. And it is very emotional when you see. It's an emotional experience because it's a culmination of many years of hard work. All of you have, by that stage, you've studied so much, you've worked so hard, and that's what you've been working for that moment. Whether or not you go into practice or not, doesn't matter. But you've got that done, and that was what you were working for. And when you mentioned, Kelly, you see a couple of times of parents admitting their children or relatives or friends. It's very emotional and it's very special. When I've been asked to admit a student, I must say I feel very honored and a privilege to do that because, yeah, it's just a great experience, an emotional experience. So there you go. I'll shut up now.
So cool. Thank you. Any other questions?
I just want to say one thing, if I could, Kelly, while people are still thinking of any questions, and a lot of students are thinking, oh, which area of law should I go into? My opinion on that question, some of you will know what you want to do, and you'll be very focused on wanting to be a certain lawyer, such as a criminal lawyer, a family lawyer, whatever. So that's good. Some people have clarity on where they want to be. However, they end up in a totally different area because the wind blows them in a totally different direction. So there's some that have clarity but get blown away into a different direction because of circumstances and opportunities. And some people don't have any idea. But my opinion is keep your mind open to all areas of law, because one thing about law, experience in any particular area is useful for other areas. So just a quick point, property law, for example. Property touches on nearly every other area of law. So if you have a strong knowledge of property, you're going to be good in commercial law, you're going to be good in conveyancing, you're going to be good in wills and probate, you're going to be good in family law even, because there's a lot of property issues. So keep an open mind. Don't feel that you have to categorize yourself because you might want to start doing a particular area but end up in a totally different area. It's all good. My advice is all areas of law are good. It's more the opportunity. If you're given an opportunity, take it.
I love that. Thank you. And can you chat real quick about the person behind me who I met through you, actually? Who is this?
Oh, yeah, that's a total coincidence. So that is my senior associate who works in my law firm. Her name is Shella, and she was actually a graduate of College of Law, and it was one of those things, she had no contacts in law, and after she completed her PLT and got admitted, she approached me to see if I knew of anyone who had an opportunity. It happened that I had an opportunity in my own practice, and that was 7 or 8 years ago. She's been working for me now for 7 or 8 years, and she's a senior associate and graduate of College of Law, and she also did the master's program, the applied masters. So she has an applied masters in a certain area of law, I think property law. So yes, there you go, small world.
Yes, very good. And another, I should mention as well, if you do your PLT with us, you actually get advanced standing into the masters, and the masters is absolutely amazing. It's practice focused, so it's the Master of Applied Law and Family Law is quite famous in the country. We're the second largest master's program in the country, or legal masters in the country. So it's very popular, especially in areas like wills and estates. If you do decide you like the wills and estates masters, if you look at the accredited specialists in wills and estates, literally every single one has done our course. So it's a really good program if you do decide you kind of like an area and you get advanced standing. So if you graduate from the PLT, you get 2 subjects toward that, because it's that very practical knowledge that we know you got from the PLT. And now you can just do it even more in very focused, specialized masters. So any other questions though before Ash and I sign off? And Marie, I can see you in here. Thank you so much for organizing this. So Marie did a lot to help me get this going. And Lauren, I know, tried to help me get on campus, but it wasn't possible. But hopefully I can come out and visit everyone later next year.
No, thank you so much. We really appreciate you speaking to us and informing us about the excellent program provided by College of Law.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you. And I hope y'all find me on LinkedIn. And yeah, I just would love to meet everybody too. Thank you so much. And oh, thank you, Jacob. Bye, Olivia.
Thank you so much.
All right.
See you
Thank
later.
you.
Bye.
Bye.